photographs and stuff come through the feed.
Right.
And I was like, what? Because she had like
Yeah, because she did put it out
stuck
there.
under the bed, like the booty's up in the air, with her head stuck under the bed. At 60.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell yeah.
consequences
I
when you
mean,
said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to... That's what my assistant said.
Why isn't 50 Cent sharing some exclusive footage of Diddy's Freakoffs that Terrence Howard sent him? After years of being outspoken about how he was essentially kicked out of the industry for refusing to participate in some of this shady business, Terrence Howard is finally revealing the truth about Diddy, and trust is booming. With these new revelations about Diddy, it appears that we are finally getting a glimpse of who all these influential people were, but Diddy isn't the only one involved in this, because Terrence had a little more to say about Diddy's boot than Young Miami. He's making claims about how Young Miami was allegedly at these Freakoffs, but the real story here is what he allegedly caught her doing on camera because, well, it's nastier than you can ever imagine. Let's get right to the point, because the things Terrence Howard is saying about Diddy are nothing short of crazy, and the wild part is that he spilled the tea. Unprovoked, because no one knew that he even had dirt on Diddy in the first place. A few days ago, he sat down for a podcast interview, and let's just say that he had some things to say about Diddy. Based on what he heard, his experience wasn't all that different from what many others have been saying about Diddy for years. You know, all that stuff about the alleged shady behavior trying to lure people into messy or uncomfortable situations. Well, Tim claimed that Diddy called him and said he needed assistance with his performance. This is intriguing, though, because we know that Diddy occasionally acts, though not frequently. He has appeared on a few shows, but nothing so serious that Terrence Howard would need to be his acting coach. Nevertheless, Terrence arrived believing it was all business, but as soon as he arrived, he began acting very differently, as if he had other plans. Terrence wasn't here for any of that, so he shut him down completely.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to... That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands-off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off, or talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're gonna get a real reaction.
He also apparently wanted to clarify that he wasn't the only man Diddy had attempted to approach. He asserted that Diddy had approached every single male who had gone to his parties, saying that each man had lost their man cards as a result.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man.
It's not secure. It's not secure. Nobody appears to be particularly safe at Diddy's parties because everything is so shady. But what's crazy is that Terrence has been talking about this kind of shady behavior in Hollywood for a while now. He was reprimanded and kicked out of the game a few times for not following their rules. Terrence talked openly years ago about what he claims was the true reason he quit acting and dipped out of the business. No, it wasn't because he was tired or wasn't getting roles. Rather, he stated bluntly that Hollywood was attempting to deprive him of his manhood. However, after he stood up, people began labeling him as difficult and acting as though he was the issue. It's the same old setup. People were taken aback when he announced in December 2022 that he was retiring from acting because, as we've seen so often with women in the industry turns the tables on them the moment someone speaks up or refuses to follow the rules. This timing left people perplexed because it seemed like he was still landing big roles and gaining fans. Was stable, there was no scandal or open drama that would have forced him to leave the game in that way, but Terrence claimed that more was happening behind the scenes. He claimed that the industry was attempting to put him in some really awkward situations that he believed were intended to take away his manhood, and when he refused, Hollywood didn't take it well. Terrence hasn't been afraid to reveal what he claims is the shady side of the entertainment industry. One thing he frequently brings up is the pressure he felt to wear a dress on screen, something he stood 10 toes down for. The next thing we know, he was out and eventually came out of retirement, but he's still moving very cautiously since returning to the spotlight. He claims that those scenes had nothing to do with the plot and were intended only to make fun of him or undermine his masculinity. To be clear, this is not a new discussion. Over the years, a number of black male actors have made similar claims, claiming that producers tried to force them to wear dresses in films or skits where. When Williams sat down with Club Shay Shay, he talked extensively about his entire emasculation problem and disclosed that it's far more prevalent in Hollywood than people may realize. It didn't even make sense. Kat claims that the pressure to wear a dress or behave in a way that undermines a man's masculinity typically comes with a truly sweet bargain. He continued by saying that because of this same problem, he has actually declined fat checks on multiple occasions.
Integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Can I need those? You here, get your notes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Come on.
Because early on you was accusing me then.
Terrence jumped right in to share his thoughts at the time, and he had something really interesting to say. You may recall how the rumors were circulating that Terrence was fired because of his temper, and people were saying that he was too hard to work with. However, after Cat Williams' interview was released, Terrence came through to clear the air, shutting down the rumors and making it clear that the real reason he was replaced was because he stood his ground and refused to let the industry play him or take away his manhood. And he stated that this was the reason they let him go. Stated, "I'm not raising sheep, I'm raising men. My father taught me to never take the bass out of your throat or the vertebrae out of your back." Keep in mind that being a male is a curse because society is androgynous and not designed for men to thrive. He didn't stop there though, because in a different interview, Terrence reiterated that there is a covert scheme to dehumanize black men because they perceive strong black men as a threat. He stated, "The man has been demonized with a new formula." It's not surprising that fans have begun piecing together his recent remarks about Diddy, and to be honest, it's starting to look a lot like sense, but that's not where it ends. According to an insider, Terrence is reportedly holding. Most men are made to be effeminate and lack their power or sense of strength, which allows white men to be strong, but when it's black men, it's seen as a threat. I don't want to remove a few commercial zones to fit in someone's story, so I feel they need to expand their stories to allow men to be men and simultaneously appreciate a woman's beauty. Fourth, even more shocking secrets that might be even more harmful than what he has previously disclosed, and 50 Cent claims that it is all related to Diddy's side project. Following the viral success of Terrence's interview, 50 Cent declared that he would remain silent and remarked, "No comment, I'm staying positive, God help us all." He appears to have altered his mind though, as he is now making wild claims about having some filthy Freakoff tape. According to some sources, Terrence supposedly captured the clip during one of those gatherings that, when his side piece, Jenna Juan, posted a picture of herself and Diddy, Miami allegedly became enraged and threatened to force Jenna into a Freakoff. She said, "Tina, you've been down bad ever since I came into the picture. You've been crying for a baby." The footage he attended purportedly showed young Miami in some interesting circumstances, But this isn't exactly shocking because the streets have been saying that the city girl knows way more than she's telling. There have even been rumors that Young Miami is involved in Freakoffs, allegedly as a conspirator rather than a victim. You have been a bee that eats P and D for 10 years. When he felt like it, you were wailing on Tasha K because you wanted a kid, poor sushi. She went on, I have a Korea hoe, and you're a certified freak. Diddy hasn't contacted me since the awards, when they were talking about getting rid of babies. If I wanted you to eat me, Diddy would have had you on your knees. You're a munch, but don't even get me started on how she allegedly bullied one of Diddy's other side pieces when she became pregnant with Diddy's child. According to the paperwork, the V, who has chosen to remain nameless, is filing as according to reports, Jane Doe was forced to take drugs at Diddy's house in July 2022. She was ordered to go to defendant Combs' house in Los Angeles, where she was forced to consume an unknown substance in his bathroom. Later, she discovered that the substance was or contained ketamine and or another substance that caused her to black out and lose consciousness intermittently throughout the night. Jane Doe did not agree to ingesting ketamine and or other substances. Collins would make her perform a show for him and would ply her with alcohol and substances until she passed out. She would wake up with bruising and injuries, but with no recollection of how she sustained her injuries. She wrote, adding that she woke up with bruises all over her body, indicating that something had happened to her while she was unconscious. According to the report, this persisted until July 2024, but she eventually became pregnant with Diddy's child, which led to Young Miami supposedly bullying her until she gave birth. Miscarriage. According to the document, Jane Doe soon took a pregnancy test that came back positive, and the lawsuit against Diddy progressed. After telling defendant Combs about the positive test, Carisha Brown-Lee, a defendant Combs associate, harassed Jane Doe by calling her repeatedly and urging that she get a termination. After having a miscarriage, Jane Doe was silent for around 3 months with defendant Combs and his colleagues. Yes, Carisha Brown-Lee is Young Miami, also known as City Girls, but considering how severely she crashed out when it's easy to understand why Young Miami would target a woman of that kind. Had a child with another woman in 2022, and then there was Little Rod's lawsuit, in which he made even more disturbing allegations about Young Miami. According to this updated lawsuit, he claimed that Young Miami was not only a guest at Diddy's parties, where the dubious activities may have occurred, but also a silent witness to everything that happened. He even mentioned a specific instance in which Diddy allegedly had Young Miami's cousin try to sexually assault him at an event. He wrote, Mr. Combs was drunk and offered Mr. Jones cocaine, but Mr. Jones turned him down and continued to walk to the bathroom while using the lavatory. The cousin of Young Miami stormed into the bathroom and started touching Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones thinks that Mr. Combs ordered her there to assay him. As she entered, she fell to her knees and started to perform oral action on Mr. Jones' bare privates. Young Miami's cousin would not accept Mr. Jones' rejection and followed him out of the restroom, where she began taking off her clothes after he shoved her away. On another occasion in Miami, Florida, on Thanksgiving night 2022, Mr. Combs asked Mr. Jones and DeForest Taylor to enter the studio bathroom. He asked them for a $100 bill because he wanted them to do nose candy with him. Mr. Jones was scared, but fortunately he didn't have a $100 bill, so Mr. Combs waited a little later to do nose candy with Young Miami. The document also claimed that Young Miami was allegedly helping Diddy transport drugs and bringing drugs to Diddy whenever he needed them, regardless of where he was. The court filing states that Liv Jones personally witnessed Mr. Combs do a few lines of coke in his dressing room. Defendant seen Combs wanted Tui, but Brendan forgot it, so defendant Christina Coram brought it on the jet from Miami. The plaintiff and the Combs Rico enterprise were reportedly practicing for something at the Virginia Water Festival. He continued by accusing Young Miami of working for Diddy as an S-worker and receiving a monthly payment for her services. According to court filings, Young Miami, Jay, and Daphne Joy were paid a monthly fee to work as Mr. Combs' employees and received payment via wire transfer from Robin Greenhill, which detailed the defendant's ongoing criminal operation. As a result, there have been numerous accounts connecting Young Miami to Diddy, and it appears that 50 Cent has some videos of her in 4K. To be honest, 50 Cent is the last person you want near you because he is as messy and petty as they come. Furthermore, you can say that things are looking good for Young Miami and Terrence Howard. It's only a matter of time until he leaks the tape and ruins the drama once more. But in the meantime, I'd like to know what you guys think about Young Miami being pulled into this again due to Terrence Howard's remarks. Please leave your thoughts and comments below, and then watch this next video because it's difficult for a pimp to get subscribers for it.